You know that music. That's right. It is time for Pillow Talk, and it's getting steamy. Dr. Kristen Mark is going to answer your questions about sex. Of course, she's a sex and relationships researcher, educator, and therapist. We don't let anybody just come up in here and do this, right?
Yes. Yeah. You got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're going to talk about it up in here.
Exactly. Well, and today, Dr. Kristen Mark is going to talk about sexual fantasy. Mm-hmm. Jason, did you bring this on?
I guess maybe I brought this on with my ladder.
Thank you for being here.
Thank
you for dealing with our set change. It's a little different. I don't know if it's a sexual fantasy inducing.
It's a little close encounter, but we like it that way.
Yeah, it depends what you're into.
Makes it more intimate.
You led right into that. What exactly is a sexual fantasy?
So these are thoughts that almost everyone has, and they might be something that you want to act out, but they might also be something that you like keeping in fantasy land, that you sort of just think about maybe when you masturbate, or maybe you think about it when you're having sex, or maybe you just think about it and it gets you aroused. So it's anything that you're thinking about that can exist in your mind and might come from a variety of areas. Yeah.
Is it healthy to have these sexual fantasies?
Very healthy. And so many people are under the impression that they shouldn't be fantasizing about anything except their partner, for example, right? But everyone, it's so natural to have sexual fantasies that are outside of the realm of like the sort of day-to-day.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of part of what makes it a fantasy, right? Is this excitement of it.
Well, you said right there that it's not wrong, because a lot of people think if they're thinking these thoughts that something's wrong with them, or they're going into that other world. Everybody has these, right?
Yeah, it's really normal. Now, not everybody. Like there is a sort of a subset of the population that might identify as like asexual or something, and maybe they don't experience fantasy. But the vast majority of people do experience fantasy.
So we're all normal.
We're all normal.
We're all okay.
Yes.
So tell us, what is the role of the fantasy in a relationship? I mean, what role can you do, to make sure that it's a healthy
not role
fantasy?
Playing.
Yeah, not role
where
playing.
Does this come
well,
in?
it can be role play. I mean, if your fantasy is about role play, then no. I think so. We do see that couples who communicate their fantasies with each other, regardless of whether they want to act on them or not, tend to be more satisfied sexually. So even if you just share your fantasies with your partner and you make it clear, like, this isn't something I'm super interested in, but I do think about this and it kind of turns me on, that makes couples more satisfied. So if you feel comfortable sharing your fantasy with a partner, you should do that, because that can be really beneficial for your relationship.
Well, my whole thing is when do couples know if it's a good time to do it or do it not?
Like the
to do
safe
it?
word. You see on movies, you're like, our safe word is.
We don't want them doing it on the streets of Lexington, but there's a time and a place.
Some people
when do they know? When do they know that it's good or not to do?
Well, I think that's really a conversation that you need to have with your partner, and thinking about some fantasies do belong in Fantasyland, right? Like they should stay there, and if your partner's not fully on board with something, like then integrate it in role play, or like integrate it in some other way, or just keep it as a fantasy, and that's totally fine too. You don't have to act on these things. How you know it's time to maybe act on them is if it's getting to a point where you're like really feeling that urge to act on them. We can have tons of fantasies and we know we don't want to act on them, right? Because you can think about, like, say if you had a fantasy for a threesome, you can think about maybe some of the negative implications that might have on your relationship, and those might outweigh the benefit of having that fantasy sort of exist, right?
Now, can it become a problem if you say your fantasy and maybe the partner kind of
Well, that's where, like, if you're in a healthy relationship that's open to communicating about sex, they should be understanding in a way of knowing, like, that it actually is beneficial for your relationship to share these things, and if they're gonna be offended by that, then they're not really being communal within the relationship to want to meet the other's needs.
I like that, so you shouldn't feel bad.
Don't feel bad about sharing it.
So you should actually discuss with your partner these fantasies that you're thinking about to make the relationship even healthier.
Yes, definitely. It helps.
All right, if they need some help, how do they get a hold of you? You can help couples with this, right?
She can talk them through it.
Yes.
She ain't going to help you with it, but she can talk you through it.
Just to clarify.
Let's be clear.
I told you it was going to get racy today.
That's not what sex therapy is.
No.
How did they get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me through my website, KristenMark.com.
All right. If you're having problems doing this and you need being helped talked through the process, get with Dr. Marks. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
It's stuff we all giggle about, but this is life. This is real life.
It's part of it.
So thank you for breaking that down for us.